How is everybody doing today on this fine Wednesday? Because it's Wednesday where you are. It's Monday, and a crappy Monday where I am.
It's very Monday.
Like, vehicles not starting, snow everywhere. It's pretty ludicrous.
I'm not really that mad about the snow.
Yeah, the snow's fine.
Except for when I have to deal with it, but
But
yeah.
my vehicle with a smashed window not starting is its own sort of issue.
But hey, we get to talk about music, and that's awesome.
That is awesome. Sounds like Liberty's awesome. All right, so I think today's song may just by coincidence be real poignant as opposed to what happened this weekend. Let's rewind that.
Okay.
Welcome to episode 32 of Sounds Like Liberty podcast with the Launchpad Media, always launching ideas in your direction. I am Nicky P, here with my lovely wife and co-host Lizzie.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to get into this and not think
We're just jumping right into it.
and not think about all the other crap that I have to think about right now.
That's all right.
Yes. So, anyways, a couple things. I'll start it out here. I mentioned it last week, but it is officially back up. Freedom Song 365 was taking new people.
Oh, snap.
So if you want great libertarian ideas and songs sent to your email every day, then you want to be on that list.
Jump in the line, folks.
For reals. And if you want to support us without doing any of that nonsense, it's not nonsense, it's awesome. We also have a non-Patreon support page up on ancapmusic.com, or go to supportsll.com, and that'll take you right to it. And it's a good middle finger to Patreon, if nothing else.
We're not going to put up with your crap.
Yeah, fuck that biz.
All right.
Back into it. So, we had a real wild weekend with all these people threatening to murder children.
Yeah, I was thoroughly confused by the whole thing, because I saw some memes, and I'm like, okay, why the vitriol? I don't understand. There's nobody's throwing punches. There's no. Why?
Well, because the memes aren't the issue. It's what they said was happening, which was that they were making racial slurs and doing tomahawk chops and, basically just making Indian references at this Native American soldier guy.
Okay.
That's what everybody was printing.
I see.
Now, if you go and get the actual video, you find out it's the black Israelites were making everybody's life miserable in the whole ordeal.
Big chucker
and these
there.
These children did their very best to not
engage.
Yeah. And, this Native American man, at best case scenario, was in the crossfire.
Right.
Worst case scenario was also being an asshole to these children. For me, that's the important takeaway. They're fucking children. I don't care what kind of asshole kids they are. They're still kids.
Yeah.
Like, the violence and threats and doxing and everything that everyone was throwing at children is just fucking mind-boggling to me. Why? At a certain point, I'm like, what is anybody fighting for in any of this? This is how you're all going to act as human beings. Like, please, just get rid of us all.
That's sad. I did not understand that. Now I do, and I'm just depressed. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry to ruin the rest of your week.
It's just so sad on so many levels.
And I'm not disputing. Maybe they were being asshole kids.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
the video evidence does not suggest that.
There are freaking child soldiers out there who I wouldn't treat that way. And yeah, I understand it sucks, but they are children. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just that person, but whatever.
All right, so we're doing Liberty and Justice by Agnostic Front.
Okay.
So all you hardcore punk kids of my ilk, Here's one that I am especially happy to dig into. Did you by the chance scan over the lyrics, Liz?
I did. It's, yeah. Okay.
I think it sums up some of what's been going on.
I mean, it's all there. It's just, it's so... I want to be able to relate to everybody and all of the struggles, but, yeah, it's hard.
Well, no, it's not, because you're an actual human being. You're told it's supposed to be hard, because they're assholes.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea that, like, we can't commiserate with people because we haven't shared in their lived experience is total horseshit.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, and those are the people I have trouble relating to, frankly. I don't have a problem relating to, oh, okay, you come from here, and that's, you know, why you look at things this way. That's not my problem. My problem is, how can you be so cruel to other human beings just based on they have what you perceive to be a different belief system? Most of the time, they don't even get an actual story to know if it's a different belief system. They're just like, oh, you're wearing a hat. Screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so let's read some lyrics.
All right, I'll start this out here. Anger is sharp as the broken glass, burning cars and tear gas. Every race riot is the last one, a dying culture's final gasp.
That's saying some stuff. Every race riot is the last one. Is that because you're just so desperate in that moment, or you're hoping like, oh, this will finally show them?
If I were to guess, I think it's just that's making reference to everyone's fear that this is going to be the one that wipes out the other side.
Ah. Is that... Well, yeah. Okay.
No?
Is that what you're going for in a race riot? Is that really, like, the end game?
I mean, do you not pay attention to anything that happens on the internet, Liz? Because literally people are calling for the death of all white people.
I just...
That's not something I assume you've ever seen.
Well, no, I just don't... How do you
yes,
justify that?
The comeuppance for slavery 200 years ago and asshole grandparents that I had is that we just need to be wiped off the face of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we deserve. That's what I deserve, apparently.
Nonsense. Okay.
For the same bullshit that those generations perpetuated on you people, making you have to live out the history of your oppression.
Right.
Now, I need to live out the history of your oppression to make everything equal.
Because
that'll eventually it'll all just make sure.
Equality.
Yeah, nobody wants equality, apparently. Just us libertarians.
Well,
Everybody else wants to fuck the other side.
And okay, the day we're actually recording this, I thought we were talking about equality. The dream was freaking equality. Is that not what we're fighting for anymore?
That's what libertarians fight for. Everybody else wants their peace. Yeah. So...
All right.
Every decade, yet no one learns, and it's always their own homes they burn. Crushed by a quorum-driven state machine, a nation's will cannot be turned.
Well, there's that.
What do you think he's getting at there?
That the state is perpetuating the issues, which I think we all know.
This is weird. His song was written so long ago.
I know. And somehow no one's...
The song's like, I think, over 30 years old.
No one's caught on. Hey,
30 years old.
Maybe they all want us to fight against each other and destroy each other, so we don't pay attention to what they're doing.
Memories lost in a nation's sleep, in the dreams of contented sheep. Can we ever hope to find solutions when our country has sold the Constitution? Once again, 30 years ago, and they're still having this conversation about what the fuck did we do with our Constitution? We trampled all over it. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with the 14th Amendment, but...
Yeah.
They really, like, that whole Commerce Clause bullshit they have used to get away with everything imaginable at this point. It's fucking disgusting. Like, the idea of this being 50 states with, like, a general kind of organizational arrangement.
Yeah.
You know, completely federalized thanks to fuckface. The guy who they give credit for freeing slaves.
Oh, Lincoln.
Yeah, fuckface
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Ah.
That needs to be a sweet band name, by the way. Fuckface Lincoln.
I'm
Anyone who
sure
wants,
that would
anyone
go
who
over
wants
well.
to start a pen pal project with me, we're gonna start a band, Fuckface Lincoln.
It's so frustrating to me because we were sold such a bill of goods about like how that all happened and what it all means, and how can you talk about, you know, the 14th Amendment, and how can you talk about Lincoln? We want, you know, the government to be able to make these sweeping judgments, because I heard a guy talking about it at, you know, this meeting I was at. Well, if it hadn't been for that, I would still be.
No, you wouldn't.
Like,
The
really?
South would have collapsed economically. It
That's-
couldn't sustain itself.
That's literally what you believe. Like, if Lincoln hadn't done that, we would all still be in literally the same place. I don't understand. I mean, I guess it would affect the way that you look at life if that's what you really believe.
And that's what they really believe it was.
Goodness.
You know, I don't know how that mentality helps you out in life or anything, but whatever. I mean, that's not my life to live, I guess. All right. All too wrong to be right. The answer's there. We just lack the sight. Race wars fed by prejudice and fright. The love of a nation for its people burned through the night. I'm assuming this is based on like the race riots of the 90s, like out in LA.
I mean, it wouldn't be remiss. I mean, the still applies.
But I think the idea, I mean, and it's on both sides. At the end of the day, like, you have white people that are, I mean, perhaps justifiably so. I mean, like, everybody on Twitter for sure is cheering the end of the white race. Like, eventually we're just going to be gone. So, pardon all those Trump people for being concerned that eventually, like, the world and culture they know will be gone, and their kids and grandkids won't be able to enjoy that. Granted, I don't necessarily share their love
For that culture.
I don't really necessarily care. I don't know that the one that people are trying to replace it with is in
Better.
any way better, but
Yeah.
you know, I think that forcing culture any direction is a bad idea.
Well, my
It
thing
needs
is,
to flow, but
you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, wow, you can't complain about, you know, the end of a certain race, while at the same time saying, yay, the end of a certain race. Like,
yeah,
either it's absurd and you could
either
be
it's
reassuring,
disgusting or it's not.
or, you know, you can't play both sides. Anyways, all right.
So, Monochrome Bloodsport, we never tire. So many things feed the fires. To repeat history, a world conspires. So many years have fed the desires. I mean, fucking A right, apparently we don't fucking learn.
Well, I mean, and that's, I
Humanity
think,
apparently can't move past this. That's the one thing that I, like, fuck race realists, they're idiots. But at a certain point, like, are the people that refuse to give up, like, that want to hold the past so fucking tight to their chest, gonna allow it where we can move on ever? Like, I mean, if there's never a point at which we get to be equal and just say fuck it, this is how the rules are, and we deal with them, and at the other end we'll all be better off. Because as long as everyone's trying to fucking get their pound of flesh or whatever, like, this, it's never gonna get any better. It's just gonna be you trading for me trading for you, and we both get what we get out of it. And fuck that world. I don't want my kid in that world. That's a bullshit world.
I definitely don't think that was the dream.
I don't know.
And it's not a world that I'm interested in living either. So,
I mean, at that point, and this is why, like, it's weird to me in retrospect. Eric July has me thinking a lot about Malcolm X these days.
yeah.
And, like, what he was actually, like, from what I've seen, I wasn't around back then, obviously, but he was preaching, like, responsibility for, you know, black people. Like,
Yeah.
go out, start your fucking businesses. Like, Why are black people the only people that haven't been able to get past that? Every other nation moves here, a couple generations, they start their business and they move on.
I mean, he was also a bit more on the violent side as far as like get people's
Was he
attention,
really?
make shit happen by any means necessary kind of thing. But
I never see. It's the thing. Like, I think that's what he's portrayed. I don't know that is. You actually listen to the speeches. I think he was a no nonsense guy, and that he didn't want to fucking play games.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, fine, you don't want us here. Why the fuck do we want to be here?
Yeah.
You know, we'll go and take our ball and play someplace else. And it's the one thing that it's the question that it does come back to. Like I said, fuck the race realists. But at a certain point, like, if we can't find a way to play nice, maybe everybody does need to take the fucking balls and go home.
Well, I don't have a problem with that if that's something that people are personally choosing to do.
Oh, no,
I've said that before. My issue is the idea that people, you know, have talked about we should take these people and just put them in a certain place and they have to stay there. And no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that for any people. I don't care who the people are.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'll slay 1,000 motherfuckers to try and take you away from me.
I want to be able to live a life with the people that I choose to live my life with, and that's regardless of what race they may happen to be.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the recording of the, what do you call it, the slut.
Oh, yeah, okay. Why can't I think of what that thing is?
For real.
Yeah,
the Libertarian Union, state of the Libertarian
there
Union.
There it is.
The S that was throwing me out.
Yeah,
State
it's like,
of the Libertarian Union.
Why does an S go in there?
Talk show.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about, like, so even if the race realists were right, what's the end game? What does that do? What do you do with that information?
Right.
Do we start blocking people with lower IQs from getting fucking jobs? No. We're libertarians.
Right.
You live your life. You do what you do with that.
Yeah.
Anyone who calls themselves a libertarian and subscribes to any kind of race realism, you're a fucking moron. I'm sorry. And if there's people that listen to the show that are all about that, good riddance. I really don't care.
It's just, I mean,
I can't imagine they'd be listening to the show considering my co-host is black. But
what are you gonna do? But yeah, you can't limit people's options without enacting violence. So let people do what they're gonna do, and they can get as far as they can. You know, I mean, obviously, you don't have to be that smart to get into some positions of power. Or, you know, you just do what you do, and if it works, then you're going to get where you're going. And you don't have to stop people from trying to do that.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of sidetracked from the song, but kind of like tangentially related to the song still.
Well, it's just, you know, there's a lot of all of the things kind of floating around in ether. And, you know, I'd rather just talk about them, get it out of the way, and then we can talk about more music. So what did we think of this song?
I mean, personally, I think it's tiptoeing on a line. Like, it is talking about some pretty heavy shit.
Yeah.
I think the idea, the core idea is that for whatever problems there are racially in our country, the state is the fucking thing that makes them worse.
And I think it does definitely touch on that.
So I'll give it an Urchlei.
Okay, I can
Anyone's got
agree with that.
beef, you can you know where to reach me.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay.
Welcome to I Heard This Happen, the segment for aging hipsters. Each week we scour Bandcamp for underground new releases to wow your teenage children. So without further ado, here's new music.
I guess moving right along.
Okay.
Let's get into I Heard This Happened.
That's always fun.
It's what it is.
All right. Can I go first?
Yeah, you absolutely can go first.
All right. This is a record that I actually came across, and it was on pre-order or whatever, so I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that one. But it actually came up, I think you showed it to me again after it actually came out. It came out on the 19th.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that record. So it's called Sunset Blush. I can talk. The artist is Kississippi, which I enjoy. She's from Philly. And it is a really kind of an indie pop record. Reminds me of like Florence and the Machine with the vocals.
Definitely.
It's got a little Best Coast with the instrumental. It's got a little Death Cab for Cutie, and that it's got kind of that indie sound to me. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really like Easier to Love is a track that I like. And there's one track where they just go crazy with the toms. And I love that too. I like a lot of the percussion in this record, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, their ballads are really sort of serene and...
Ballady?
Well, yeah. I mean, it has that sort of floaty feel. And sometimes I like pop records with a little more punch, but this is definitely giving you that dreamy, poppy feel. So you can check it out on Bandcamp, and it's a full album. I actually picked a full album.
Yeah, you don't do that very often.
Nope.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. So, I mean, when I heard of it, I liked it. Normally I pick on you if I don't like things.
Yeah.
This was actually pretty good. So this week I have more prog, more genty prog.
Nice.
So I'm not entirely sure how to. The album is super 90, and as far as I can tell, the artist is Kadinja or Kadinja. It's got a J in a weird spot in it.
Okay.
Came out on the 18th, and they're out of Paris, France. So apparently some talented Frenchies over here.
Right on.
As far as like the type of music it reminds me of like VOLA or 12 Foot Ninja.
Ooh, nice.
Plini, Polyphia. The Right Escape, I think, is probably my favorite song. So I like it because they keep just enough of the metalcore roots to feel like legitimately hard. Mm-hmm. Like there's some solid screaming on it. But they wash it over. They like wash it over real heavily in modern guitar prog.
Nice.
So, like it's paying its roots, homage. And I'm not usually into like this heavy metal vocals. It's always been the thing that keeps me from liking more metal bands. Is I hate the rah 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 the whole time.
Yeah.
But it is like there's a lot of like really dissonant musicality behind this.
Okay.
And it's got some solid like sing along hooks.
Nice.
So it's hard to like not kind of find something to really like about the record. The other thing I would say is like usually with like especially with like the guitar prog, like there's a sound that a band has and they kind of stick to it and do their thing. I was actually I'm really interested in the fact that it's really textured for the genre.
Okay.
Like look at this. Like it's still super crazy techie, like lots of really, really deep guitar stuff. But it also has like these nice little peepholes into like genres from my youth. Like there's moments where I feel like I'm listening to some old school Korn, and there's moments where there's like acoustic ballads and things like that on the record. And it's real fucking solid.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, Super 90 by Kadinja, I'll call him.
Very cool.
It's a sweet album. Let's keep going. So this week we have the wonderful and illustrious Howie Snowden.
He was wonderful and illustrious.
It was a fun conversation. He's got some good taste in music.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a good time with it. Mm-hmm. He's for those who don't know, he's one of those gents in the Lions of Liberty camp. And if you don't know, you should totally be checking out the Lions of Liberty. They're a great podcast.
Yeah, they've got 3 shows in one. So there you go.
Yeah, I know they gotta up the ante now, like because now they're not they're the OG
right
like network theoretically, because now everybody else is like doing the network thing
Yeah, that's true.
with the single podcast feed. Mm-hmm. But they were the first, I think.
Yeah,
I
they
think
do
that's
it
safe to
really,
say.
really well.
So, without further ado, let's get into our interview with Howie. Welcome, Mr. Howie Snowden, to Sounds Like Liberty podcast. You've never actually met Liz, and she doesn't participate much in any of the online groups. So, meet each other, guys.
Hi.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on the show.
Yeah. I'm not a shit poster. My meme game's not that way. I don't do Twitter, so.
No, she's actually a genuinely nice person, and it's weird, considering the people that I hang out with normally on the internet.
I usually don't post anything myself on like Twitter. I just retweet other people's stuff constantly.
Yeah.
I see something like, oh, I like that. Heart retweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn Twitter. It's my favorite out of all of the things because it's so
Petty.
petty.
Yeah, but I really don't like Facebook. If it wasn't for like the Lions of Liberty forum, I would never go on it.
Well, yeah, and if I didn't have a podcast and a business and all kinds of other crap to run, I would definitely get rid of it. But unfortunately, I do have all those things. I'm just waiting until we get our libertarian alternative.
Yeah, it's
And
coming.
then we can all just
I
go.
heard you guys left Patreon.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm out.
I know Mark and them are kind of reluctant to do that, just because we have so much stuff set up on there.
They don't, but that's the thing, they don't have. I mean, I can tell you right now, I could set up what they need to do it. Like, they don't have to.
I
they
mean,
don't
we
even have
switched
to
from
leave.
When we switched from Podbean to Patreon, like just getting people to make the change was really hard. I mean, it took me a while to do it myself too. I was probably one of the worst offenders of
Yeah.
not moving over.
And I get it. Like, I understand the reluctance. But I'd rather they had things like this thing. They don't have to stop using it. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's like, leave it up, whatever. And then people will come over or they won't. And then eventually they will be gotten rid of by Patreon. And, you know, I'd rather they had something in place for when that day comes as opposed to not.
Oh yeah, that's true. You'd want to be ready instead of
Yeah. Like,
crap. Now we don't have a platform.
yeah. Like I said, and I've set mine up where essentially I use the blog, and I just link to SoundCloud, so you can still stream via private SoundCloud the audio for like all the files and stuff, and you just log in on soundslike.liberty.com. So, cool. And I control all the money. It comes through me. It still sucks because that is through PayPal and what do you call it? Stripe, but
Yeah.
but the chances of, I think, them getting down to us and like the paltry amount that I make on there, which is a whole zero right now.
We're probably down the list of ways, you know.
We made $3 on Patreon, so it was not a big loss.
Yeah, I always feel like we're doing something wrong when we're not getting banned on Facebook or anything.
Right.
I mean,
Why don't they want to silence us?
well, I mean, as big as you guys are, like, you're still not like as big as the guys that they were
Right,
going
yeah.
after. I mean, even like on the small end, those dudes were like 20,000, 30,000 people that were in their feeds and stuff.
Yeah.
I was in a group with a bunch of them for a while, and then somebody invited in a bunch of lib socks, and I just couldn't do it anymore. The minute Mike Shipley was in the group, I left because it's Mike Shipley. Anyways, so if you've listened to the show before, I do not take it as granted that anyone has. We talk about music to libertarians and with libertarians, because sitting and talking about politics all the time is fucking nauseating. So it's fun to talk about something else with people that we have stuff in common with. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to Liberty, the short version. We don't need to waste 6 hours on it, because I'm sure you've told it a million times.
Sure, yeah. Cliff Notes version. When I was a junior in high school, I remember my dad came home one day and he's like, hey, do you want to go to Washington, D.C. and be a congressional page? I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what that is, but sure. And just being there in D.C., like on the House floor every day, and hearing Ron Paul talk all the time, I didn't have a political identity at the time, but he just like seemed to make the most sense out of everybody else. It seemed like they were like full of shit, and like you could tell when someone's saying something true. And so I talked to him a couple of times. He gave me like some books that he wrote to read, and it was pretty much a done deal. From then, that was like 97, and then I kind of briefly, like after 9/11, was totally forgot all about non-intervention. It was like, we need to do something. But it was like when Ron Paul ended up running again later, that kind of brought me back to my senses and back to libertarianism again. And so after I graduated college, I did join the Army for a while. And
which branch
which
of the
I
actual
hadn't.
Army?
Yeah, I was in the Army. But fortunately for me, I spent my whole active duty time in Korea. So
Banging Asian
not-
chicks. I'm with it.
was not involved in any war and terror, any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was in a couple of bands over in Korea, which was awesome.
What's the Korean music scene over there? K-pop?
So I don't really know, though. I did hear a couple good like Korean like metal bands, but generally we just like hung out in like bars where U.S. soldiers hung out, and that was just like hard rock was what was being played. But
Okay.
I don't know what a lot of like the actual Korean people listen to. I'm assuming it's probably like K-pop nonsense.
Nice. Well, what were you playing for the American soldiers over there?
So I was in two bands. The first band I was in was called Stillborn. They're both pretty hard rock. Yeah, the first was Stillborn. The second one was called Omerta, after the Lamb of God song.
Okay, what year are we talking at this here? Because I'm just gonna assume that somebody heard the song by what was it, Black Label Society and Ozzy. I was like, yeah, we should totally name our band after that song. It's sweet, man.
I don't know why we came up with that name. I know it was spelled with like a O-U-R-N-E like at the end. Like I don't know. But this was
Love
probably
it.
around 2004.
Oh, so yeah, you guys absolutely heard that song on the radio, and that's what the catalyst was. It's a good song. I can't
Yeah,
blame
so
you.
I played bass. We played like it was like half original stuff, half covers. We kind of cover like music we played. We play like Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, that's fun.
Coheed and Cambria, Godsmack, Rage Against the Machine, like that kind of stuff. Carol Manson.
I was gonna say, like, we could have stopped at Coheed, and that would have been pretty sweet. But you got me back to the Manson, so that works.
Yeah, I would. When I was younger, Marilyn Manson was like my favorite band for years. The first time I heard them, I was just watching like Headbangers Ball one night, and they played like the Lunchbox video.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was cool. And I remember getting the CD then and loved it. One of the best concerts I ever went to then. This because they were like brand new. It was Korn and Marilyn Manson opening up for Danzig.
I can't remember when that
Nice.
tour was happening, actually.
It was probably, I think it was 95, because I
I was
know
gonna say,
I
was
don't
it-
think I could drive yet. I remember my mom like dropping me off and picking me up. But it was awesome. I met Ginger Fish and Daisy Berkowitz. They signed my Satanic Army shirt.
Nice.
It's pretty psyched.
That would be sweet. I would have been younger at that point in time, but I was always weirdly precocious musically, so like I listened to this stuff all. I think all it was, I just listened to all the stuff my older cousins listened to at the time, and so
Okay.
I would have been like, I don't know, 94 would have been 10, but was still like way into music. I for some strange reason I fell in love with Matt Pinfield as a child, and I just wanted to be him, and became obsessed with music because of that. But yeah,
Nice.
it's a good time.
I was into music from a young age too. I remember like, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I remember being like 4th grade and getting Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction taped in my stocking at Christmas and being so excited.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be like a rock star. And even when I was a little older, like I didn't want to go to college. My parents made me like, I just want to play bass in a band. But didn't happen.
And you actually kept at it. You might have done well for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not like the economy kept going on anything that we would have went to college for.
That's true. Yeah. I got a psychology degree, which is worthless and pretty much why I joined the Army after college.
The Bauhaus is fucking sweet.
They are sweet.
Yeah, they're awesome as a band, but I kind of like what they stood for and what they started to, kind of just like starting the whole like gothic rock movement. You know, to me, they're like just like a darker David Bowie, who I also love.
Yeah, maybe that all plays out.
Yeah.
I was in a goth band for a minute in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
Called Bible Black. And I moved when I first moved to Cleveland. I formed it with this guy whose like wife had just left him. And so we just got a drum machine that I had, and I played bass, and he played guitar and sang, and we just wrote greasy songs. It was fun.
Nice.
My favorite part about that genre is that like you can kind of just let the feedback do a lot of the work.
Yep.
Keep the notes simple and just like, yeah, droney. So, all right. That is interesting. So the you said you were in two bands. What was the second band like? The same kind of thing, or?
Yeah, same kind of thing. Second band was called Omerta. The Lamb of God song is what we named it after. It was me and the singer were the same. It was the drummer and our guitarist had like left Korea, so we got a new drummer and guitarist rebranded.
Nice. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of covers the basics of the Howie story. So, where do you want to start with on this one, Liz?
I mean, we usually just start with like, what's your musical taste? What are you into?
I mean, you said Bauhaus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's expand on that.
Well, my favorite band is My Life with the Thrill-Kill Cult, which I don't really know if hardly any other people even like them, but I know I first heard them on the Crow soundtrack, the song After the Flesh.
That's a great
awesome.
soundtrack.
That went out and I bought their CD, 13 Above the Night, and that was none of the songs were anything like that. And like, this just sounds like satanic dance music. I didn't really like it at first, but like I kept listening to it now and then I got some of their older stuff, which I did like more, and they just grew on me. And since probably about like, this is probably 95-ish too, but I've seen them a few times. It's so much fun.
How are they live? Because that would be interesting to me.
They are awesome live, and it's even like when I usually listen to them, like in the car or something, I like to listen to the live CDs that they've put out.
That is fascinating. Just for the record, the Crow soundtrack is probably one of the best soundtracks ever put together.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was literally talking about it with somebody this week in a completely unrelated conversation.
Yeah, I would say like my top 3 soundtracks would be the Crow soundtrack, the Natural Born Killers soundtrack,
good one,
and the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack.
You missed one of the key ones in there, honestly.
Oh, what's that?
By the way, it's one of the worst movies ever made. The soundtrack was fucking fantastic, and that's the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Oh God.
I don't think
Really?
I've heard it.
That's
Dude.
where you're going with that?
Massive Attack, Mazzy Star. Is it Mazzy Star? PJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Was it the Flaming Lips back in their heyday?
Yeah. No. That's true.
Sunny Day Real Estate. Like, there was a Seal and U2 on there, but like it was a pretty intense fucking soundtrack. way better than the movie ever was.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack was much better than that movie too. I had the cassette, and unfortunately, I was over at like a friend's house swimming, and I was riding my bike home. I had a towel around my neck, and like the towel got caught in the front wheel of my bike, and I flipped off of it. And the tape was in my pocket and got smashed, and that's probably what I was most upset about.
Yeah, I've smashed things on a bike. I was way older.
Yeah.
It was less fun.
Yeah.
I think the music that I was into the most when I was younger was, and all came out like around the same time, wasn't like Jane's Addiction, Faith No More, Red Hot Chili Peppers are all real popular. Like I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. Like every song on that is awesome.
I mean, I couldn't date how old Howie is by his musical taste at all.
No. I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers in that era as well.
I don't know. I honestly,
it makes me sad because like all these bands I've loved, like they put out stuff later, and I'm like, it's all right.
The last Chili Peppers album that I like, and it's honestly my personal favorite, is the one with what do you call it? The one with Dave Navarro.
One Hot Minute.
Yeah, One Hot Minute, and it's just because I fucking love Navarro.
Yeah,
me too. I was really disappointed to find out he didn't like that album.
I know, it's so disappointing. He hates it.
They asked him about like the next album. He's like, well, I hope it doesn't suck like the last one.
oh,
Which is so insane because that album is so good.
but he's Dave Navarro. He's better than all of you.
Dave Navarro is better than all of us, Liz. Let's not play games here.
Yeah, he really is. He's my favorite guitarist by far.
Well,
Like,
he's like not overly technical either.
Yeah,
It's just-
and I don't know if you've listened to when he put out his own album, but like he knows when not to play. Too,
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I was going to
He
get
just
at.
do crazy guitar solos the whole time, but he knows when not to.
Well, that's why I'll always stand up for why Eddie Van Halen is a superior guitar player to like Joe Satriani or Yngwie or any of those guys. It's because Eddie turns it off. Eddie knows when it's okay to just sit back and rock 3 chords and just do
People
that.
used to say like the best guitarists just have, or like the best technical guitarists just have like ads in Guitar World, like learn to play guitar. Like they don't, they're not the people they're famous because it's there's more soul that goes into it than.
How do you how do you feel about like the modern progressive guitar bands and stuff like that? He's like not interested.
Yeah, I haven't really listened to much.
Yeah,
this is terrible because music used to be such like a big part of my life. It's ever since I started listening to podcasts, I get in the car and listen to podcasts instead of music.
You know what you do to fix that?
What's that?
You start a podcast about music, and part of your homework in a week is you have to listen to at least one new. You have to find at least one new album for the podcast. That's
Yeah.
literally how I do it.
That's how this happened, pretty much.
So I remember for a while before I started listening to podcasts, like I had like Sirius XM in my car, and so I'd like, it's like wow, I actually am hearing new music that's coming out. And since it's not an MTV anymore,
Right.
and now that I have like a million podcasts on my list, I just canceled that. And what have I listened to new recently? I guess it's not a new band, but new to me. I started listening to Ghost recently.
They're all right.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how they're considered metal. It's not.
Yeah, at all. It's not metal.
I like probably like 6 or 7 of their songs a lot though.
My big thing is I just think they're so fucking overhyped. Like they're not bad. It's just, and part of it is because I do follow music fairly closely. I've had the past 6 years of everyone telling me how amazing Ghost is. And
Okay. See, I've only ever heard. I heard one person on Twitter mention them. I'm like, let me check them out on YouTube. And I'm like, I like this.
I mean, I'm more interested in the fact that they've been embroiled in controversy for the past year because of the original frontman. He, like, kicked everybody out of the band and like did some shitty stuff with their money.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah. It's all about the drama. That's what it's about.
No.
Come on, you hang out with the Lions, you know about the drama.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
They don't talk. Mark doesn't constantly talk about the LP drama, and you're just like, oh no.
Man, the LP is such a mess.
Yeah, no argument from me. every minute I spend around it, I think to myself, I could totally spend time doing other things. Like, this shit's going down the tubes anyways. Like, I don't know, what am I bothering with this for?
Yeah.
But then I
it's
think,
have to rebuild after the collapse.
well, and the part of me is like, but that's why I'm doing it, is because we need to have some kind of beacon out there for after the collapse. There's no Ron Paul anymore, so we need to have something
Right.
Yeah.
preaching the pure stuff, the uncut. So I mean, you're a neocon, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally his thing. Anyways, all right. So we'll say like late '80s, early '90s kind of goth music would be where you think your stuff would fall. I mean,
Well-
obviously you've got taste outside of that, but
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that stuff in like Typo Negative was big for me.
I mean that's the same stuff to me.
But
Frankly.
when I was in some bands in high school where I had to like that was not the taste of my bandmates, and so like they liked like Dave Matthews Band type crap that I hated at the time. And like,
Why did you hang out with these people?
Started some of it. I even Yeah, there are like weird things outside of that I like. Like I like Dar Williams, she's a folk singer a lot.
Okay.
Some like newer stuff. I really like Group Love and Joy Formidable.
I'm strangely enamored with Group Love.
Yeah,
Their songs are insanely catchy.
Yeah.
Did you hear their story? I guess they were like a bunch of art majors or something. They were on some trip somewhere.
I looked it up at one point.
And they just decided like, hey, when we get back to the U.S., let's start a band up. And they're like, well, let's do that.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's funny.
Well, and they were basically just like crust punking through the fucking Europe.
And they absolutely seem like those people, yes.
Yeah, they do.
They put on a good show.
I
I have
that.
no doubt about it. I mean, the music that they do is so super high energy. It would be kind of difficult to like play that and not be animated, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their videos are always pretty interesting too. They have that like Kim Jong-il one
Yeah.
that's always really funny. Liz does not like Group Love. She's looking at me like,
No, I do
"What's
like
wrong
Group
with you
Love.
guys?"
I don't understand the thing exactly. Like, what is the thing?
I mean,
with
I
that?
like
They have
I like,
something. I
I
just
like
don't know
the
what it
idea.
is.
I mean, their name is Group Love.
Yeah.
I'm all about like orgies. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, and they seem like hippies and whatnot. So, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I remember I was going to see them. I had on my calendar at work like Group Love written out on the
Oh
days.
God, that's funny.
It's like
Conversation starter much.
What's this that you're doing on the 18th?
And then you say, "Do you really want to know?" It ends that conversation quickly.
Yeah, just to round off my musical preferences, I really like a lot of like classic rock, like Led Zeppelin type of stuff.
Nice.
There's a period in my
Alright.
life.
Here
I
we
think
go.
there were like 2 years where I only listened to the Doors.
We're gonna have the real question now.
I just wanted to be Jim Morrison.
Aw.
Well, I mean, when we watched the movie, everyone wanted to be Jim Morrison.
I can't believe Val Kilmer sang those songs in that.
I can't believe Val Kilmer was skinny once upon a time.
Oh God. He was
All
so
right, well, so
pretty.
here's the real question, since you say Zeppelin. And obviously you're friends with Odie Odermatt.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Uh
Of course he does.
oh.
Are you one of those people that drank that Kool-Aid?
I checked it out. I can't even remember what they're called. They're all right. They're no Zeppelin.
Well, that was my whole point. I literally saw somebody post about Greta Van Fleet is what I'm asking him about.
Oh God.
That's it. See, I didn't like it enough to even remember what they were called.
No, I
Yeah.
just get inundated. Like when you pay attention to music and you have to hear people talk about this shit all the time, and it's like I literally heard someone. Their lead singer apparently came out and he's like, "I wish people would stop comparing us to Zeppelin." And I'm like, then why did you go so far out of your way to make your entire first album sound like you were doing a crappy Zeppelin knockoff? Like, literally, you guys mirrored your mannerisms after them. Like, that stupid vocal inflection that he does.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, you live with
There's
us now, homie.
The Led Zeppelin cover band around here. Les Zeppelin. It's like all females.
Oh, they're awesome.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
They're actually really fucking good, too.
Oh yeah. I guess one of my other favorite bands is totally out of what we've been talking about. Did you guys know Mo?
I haven't listened to Mo in ages. But that makes sense if you hung out with people that like Dave Matthews.
Their album, the one with like, I think it's called No Doy. It had like Rebubula and a bunch of other stuff.
That's
on
one
it.
of the early ones, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like the newer stuff they put out so much, but when I went to Woodstock '99 with Mark actually.
Really?
That's funny.
Mo was like the best band I think we saw there.
Okay, so
And like Rage Against the Machine was there, and
I gotta know, how was it? Like, were you guys there for the whole thing?
yeah,
Because that's the one that like notoriously flamed out at the end, really conspicuously, wasn't it? Or was there
it was
another
the
one
one
after?
with the riots.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't even realize there were riots at the time. Like, it wasn't like scary, but I remember my girlfriend at the time. She was like, "I'm cold. Can we go stand by the fires?" I'm like, "Sure."
Well, it was yeah. 'cause-
Somebody threw out like this box of T-shirts on the ground from like a stand or whatever. I like picked them up. I'm like, "Oh, cool!" And I was like, "Collective soul," and threw them back down on the ground.
That's
Yeah, did you not know that That's why there are no more Woodstocks. They brought
No.
it back.
I remember hearing about the riots because I was just old enough to think, oh man, this would be like a super cool
Well,
thing
the whole
if I
thing,
could
because
like,
that was
get out.
and what it was Fred Durst literally looked at the crowd and told everyone to punch the person next to him in the face.
Well, they had handed out candles to everyone too.
Like it was
Just dumb shit to do at a festival, basically.
well, and the thing is like the number of people that were at the fucking thing is just insane.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like in the place that it actually takes, because I don't know if you know anything about like where this takes place. It's the tiniest fucking town in the world.
Yeah. No, I remember
Rome,
hearing
New
about
York. I think where this one was.
I grew up about an hour from Rome.
The worst part about it was the porta potties were like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
There was, I mean, even with the number of people that they had, like there's no way to reasonably handle that number of people for that length of time in that tight of quarters. You just can't do it.
I had a great time though. It was fun.
What drugs were you doing?
Oh, I would never do anything illegal.
Right on.
Oh, those ones.
Right on.
Well, one funny story though, there might have been something going on, and we were a little messed up. And these people from this cult, what was it called? 12 Tribes, came up to us and were trying to like recruit me and Mark. And I could barely understand what they're saying. And Mark, I remember, just kept asking, like, he's like, wait, how many tribes are there again?
Well, there's 12 tribes of Israel, so.
Yeah, I remember I kept their pamphlet for a really long time. I was like, well, if I ever screw up my life completely, I guess I could just go join that 12 Tribes group.
Just think of how different life could have been.
Right?
I ended up reading about them, and they're actually a pretty bad cult, so
Yeah.
glad I didn't go in that direction.
I mean, in general, I find cults to be a little, outside of the cult of Ron Paul.
Yeah, that's a good one.
At least we're not we're actively trying not to kill people.
There's that.
Mm-hmm. Although I do feel like when you have cults of people trying not to kill people, people tend to die. I mean, I don't want to say nothing about Waco or nothing, but
right. Did you guys see that miniseries they did? Was on like a year ago.
I heard about it. I didn't actually take the time to watch it.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think Horton was talking about it.
Yeah, I remember hearing like a whole synopsis of the thing, and then people talking about the actual series. It's really interesting.
I didn't know a whole lot about it.
Most of my exposure is honestly Scott Horton talking about it.
Yeah,
because he used to be really, really into that shit.
Do you know what the first conspiracy theory I was really into was, though?
What's that?
Well, I still think it's true. I think that Courtney Love had Kurt Cobain killed. I don't think he committed suicide.
Yeah, that wouldn't be shocking to me.
I don't think that's shocking. I thought we all agreed that that's what happened.
I don't know. There's always something really unsettling about her. But
That was like the conclusion. The guy that she hired to investigate came to.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, he just referred to it as a conspiracy, and I'm like, no, I thought that's just what happened.
That's just what
we all knew it. That was like an O.J.
settled.
Simpson thing. Like,
we
know what happened, and
I don't think it's as obvious as that.
I was gonna say that's pretty. Goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to move on to the soundtrack moment.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, we talked about live music. We could just skip ahead.
What was the greatest concert you've been to? Was it Woodstock '99?
No.
I didn't somehow think it was.
I would. Oh, it's so hard to decide because it's like, was it the one where I had the most fun? Something like Guar was a really good time.
Guar is always a really good time.
Yeah.
Or is it? I really, when I was a kid and I saw Korn and Marilyn Manson open up for Danzig, that was probably like my favorite concert experience, I think.
What was your first concert experience? Is that it?
No. First concert I was ever at, what was it?
Tom Petty.
It was Gin Blossoms.
That would have been interesting because that would have been in their heyday for sure.
Yeah. I actually saw them, and then I saw them a second time with the Spin Doctors and Cracker.
That's
Ooh,
awesome.
that's a really good show.
Right?
Cracker I actually like.
Oh, Cracker's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for dudes' politics, but...
Well.
I have to separate politics from especially music or anything.
And, dude, so you're glad you're not part of the Freedom Song 365, aren't you?
I actually wish I had signed up for that.
You still can if you want to.
When I was thinking about it, I'm like, how are they going to do that? I'm like, does Rush have 365 songs?
That is what everyone said, but believe it or not, we haven't repeated anybody yet.
Rush, that was a great concert too.
Which one did you go to?
I saw them at Montage Mountain near Scranton.
Okay, about what year?
That was probably around 2004-ish, 2003 maybe.
Oh, so was it the Vapor Trails tour?
I don't remember.
I caught him. It would have been in the summer of 2002, because it was right after I graduated high school.
You know, that could have been it.
And I will say that, like, I'm glad I caught him when I did, because that fucking show was amazing. It was like Getty still had a bit of the voice left.
Yeah.
Like watching the R40 videos, it's kind of like I really wanted to go to R40, but I would have been disappointed seeing him sing like he did.
Yeah,
but he was
Neil Peart's so amazing too.
He is. But I've got video of Neil Peart kicking ass, so good for them.
Aw.
I mean, I feel the same way. It's like I would love to have seen Hall & Oates in their heyday, but it would break my heart
To see Daryl Hall.
to see Daryl sound the way Daryl sounds now.
Yeah.
I wish I could have seen the Grateful Dead before Jerry Garcia died.
You would have had a small window there where you could have, right? Because he was what, 94?
Yeah, friend said I saw the Grateful or whatever they were calling themselves like right after.
Mm-hmm.
They're calling themselves like the others. I don't know.
Yeah.
But disappointing.
My kid's godfather's a Deadhead, so I know a little bit about that whole world.
Those people are fun to hang out with.
What's funny is though, because I grew up through like the 90s and like the early 2000s. So my whole exposure to the Dead was the neo hippies that were into them, which were basically just the fucking thugged out ghetto kids that wore the t-shirts and like maybe knew a song or two. Like,
really?
Yeah,
Ghetto kids listen to the Grateful Dead.
This is part of that whole mid 90s culture thing. Like it was all the thugged out kids were the ones that were doing all the drugs.
Okay.
And so they coincidentally overlapped with the, that world.
That makes sense.
Because that's where the drugs were. So for the longest time, I never bothered with the Grateful Dead just because I just associated it with all the scumbag kids from high school.
I see.
Yeah. My high school is like more like actual hippies, like kids on like the soccer team and stuff, just like in Stone.
Yeah, the kids on the soccer team when I was in high school were listening to Simple Plan.
Oh.
So.
That's all you need to say.
High school was slightly different for me. It's probably 8 to 10 years difference.
I was in high school from 94 through 98.
Okay, so yeah, so probably let's see. Section. I graduated in 02, so.
I went to a Catholic school too, so the environment might have been a little different.
Sure.
I also grew up in like hillbilly sticks, New York State, which definitely is its own thing. No, well, although it is funny because like I don't know if I talked to Mark about it at all, because he's like up from the Buffalo region.
Yep.
And like I grew up not very far from where he grew up. So I grew up about an hour and 20 minutes south of Buffalo, on the Pennsylvania-New York border.
Okay.
So I actually had a bunch of friends.
On the way to Canada.
What's that?
Driven through there on the way to Canada.
Yeah, and it's like honestly, I have friends that would have been probably up in that area in high school about the same time he was too. So it fascinates me.
Did you guys ever hear band Stereophonics?
Oh,
That was great.
Yeah, I saw them play up in Toronto.
Oh, that's cool.
Toronto shows are always fun.
Yeah, that was a cool city.
It's so clean.
I was there. We went there the first time when I was like a little kid. I think we went and saw the Phantom of the Opera up in Toronto for a school field trip.
Interesting.
Oh, cool.
It was pretty cool. We literally went to another country for a school field trip. Now, granted, it's only like an hour and a half drive, but
I bet they don't do that so much anymore.
do they even do field trips anymore?
Maybe not.
Well, those kids from that Catholic school were just at that field trip. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys saw the.
Oh, don't get me started.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
My hatred of human beings is just so inflamed by that entire thing.
Yeah.
And I more importantly, that like I saw libertarians piling onto the whole thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sarwark had to make a post.
I got in an argument with my wife about it this morning too.
Oh jeez.
Well,
Then
which
we
side
really better not talk
Which
about
side
it
was
too
your
much.
wife on?
She saw the original like media take on it,
Oh.
Yeah.
and I was trying to explain if there was more to it, and she's just like, "No, that kid's weird."
But that's, I guess, so he's a piece of shit kid. He's still
Maybe.
a kid.
I don't know.
Even so, worst case scenario, he's still a kid. Like, you're trying to ruin a child's life. Like, what is wrong with our country? Yeah. All right, so those are some good shows in there. What is we touched on it. We didn't actually get to the question though. You have a soundtrack moment, just something that's inexplicably linked to music. I'm imagining that you and Mark being in college together, there are probably more than one, to be completely honest.
Oh, actually, this is so. I guess this is part of our soundtrack. For a year, I was roommates with Mark in a fraternity, and
Nice.
like
Out
every
of curiosity,
morning,
what fraternity, if you don't mind me asking?
Phi Kappa.
Okay.
Every morning when we'd wake up, one of us would put on Bob O'Reilly by The Who and like blast it, and we'd like get all pumped up to like get ready to start drinking and partying all day. And then,
Yeah, it's what you did in college. I remember.
so that was like at least the morning soundtrack.
Nice.
Land
That is a good
would,
good song to do that.
started.
I like The Who in general, so
Yeah, I prefer like other classic rock bands to them, but I do like them.
I should specify, I really like John Entwistle as a bass player,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so that is its own thing. I mean, as far as like classic rock bands, they're definitely not my favorite, but
Yeah.
I do really enjoy them.
I should have listened to more of them, but like them and like the Rolling Stones, like I like, but not enough to put that much. Oh, I'm sorry about that banging.
I know it's funny to me. I'm assuming they're fucking.
That's just the story you make up in your head that makes it more amusing for you.
I mean, assuming people are fucking makes everything better.
Sure.
I try not to assume the worst out of people. Like, start with the good stuff. Assume they're just having a grand old time, making their Sunday go by nice.
That's what it is. They're really going then.
There you
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What were we even talking about?
go.
Oh,
And
Oh,
whistle.
yeah, just-
And
yeah.
then- yeah.
yeah, I do like the Who, but
Well, and I mean, like you said
haven't
about,
listened
like you were
Yeah.
saying about the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones have 30,000 fucking albums.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
there's
And, like-
some shit in there.
I used to argue with a couple of friends. One thought the Beatles was the best band ever. I thought Led Zeppelin was the best. Not my favorite, but I think they were the best. And the other, who was the other person arguing for? I don't know if it was like, better not have been the Grateful Dead. It might have been.
Well, the Beatles did rip off the Grateful Dead, so there's that.
Yeah. The Beatles are great, but I really thought like Led Zeppelin was just so amazing.
See, Led Zeppelin is tainted. Like,
Really?
don't get me
I don't
wrong,
think-
I love Led Zeppelin, and I think that the greatest part of that band is John Paul Jones, which is why I was so excited when Them Crooked Vultures happened. But they're tainted because like they were half of their material was fucking cover songs, and like
That's true. It
And
didn't seem
they
like-
were notorily they were embroiled in a case like where their biggest song was most likely
yeah,
pulled
I remember
entirely
hearing
from
that.
somebody else.
Okay, all right.
So, while don't get me wrong, I love Houses of the Holy, and some of that shit's the greatest rock that was ever made, unquestionably. Like, it's tough for me to jump on board that, but that is a good question. I think the Beatles are overrated myself.
I do too.
So, if anything I can do to
like them.
stab
I held
them-
on for a while. For the longest time, I couldn't understand why people love them so much. But I definitely like.
they got great.
their-
They
I
have
like
great
their
songs,
later.
but
I like their later stuff a lot. Like I don't really go for like when they were new and it was just like
it was
like
pop
pop
music. It was good pop
nonsense.
music.
yeah.
And like, I part of my hate, my thing with the Beatles is I fucking hate John Lennon. Can't stand him. So, like,
Yeah,
if I could take him out of the Beatles, I would have been way happier. Yeah, aside from the fact that he was a scumbag human being.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I was a lot older.
Well, I mean, that's all part of how the world has changed. Like, if we knew everything about Michael Jordan that we know about Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan wouldn't have been Michael Jordan. You know, we just know too much about all the people that we follow now.
Yeah, in the old days, we just had to make up stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Like all the rumors about Marilyn Manson.
So,
I think those probably helped him more than hurt him.
So
though.
coincidentally, in the early 2010s, I was in a band, and we were managed by Manson and Reznor's old manager.
Really? That's cool.
It really wasn't worth a whole hell of a lot, but there was some like really good insidery stories that we got from it. Like that was its real value, is that like we'd hear stories about like Trent and Manson from back in the day.
They had a falling out, didn't they?
I was involved while the man in question was suing his lawyer for losing a case to Trent, because Trent sued him for taking advantage of him when he was all heroined out. Because you know he ran through all of his money when he was heroined out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both like Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, though. Like if I was only allowed to bring a few CDs to a desert island, I think Antichrist Superstar would be one of them, and
yeah.
Pretty Hate Machine would be another one of them.
It's two very good albums. I think I probably would, if I were to go pick a My Nails album, I would probably go Downward Spiral, just because it's such a part of my childhood.
That's true. It is better.
Like, I don't even know that it's a better record. It's just because of how old I was at the time, I have more memories attached to it. Although Pretty Hate Machine's pretty
For me, I
fucking
think Pretty Hate
awesome.
Machine was the first 9 Inch Nails album that I listened to. That's actually, I think, the first album, so that would be mine.
Yeah, well, that's the Pretty Hate Machine. It's Head Like a Hole and all that, like more of the really industrial stuff from the beginning.
Another one of my desert island CDs I would bring would be White Zombie, Les Exorcisto Devil Music Volume 1.
Nice. God, I miss him when he was a musician.
Yeah, and I really like that album, and I like the one that came after it, but I'm not too into most other stuff that White Zombie has done since, unfortunately, or Rob Zombie by himself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really into the music he makes anymore, if he does. Like, I think he just likes making movies.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he's good at that.
Now
I like the Devil's Rejects a lot. I'm sorry, I know some people hate it.
It was boring to me, but that's just because it's not the kind of movie I'm into. Like, it was more of a thriller than a horror movie. And I'm a horror guy. That's my thing. So it was like, to me, it doesn't stand up against House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
But the other part of that is that I know House of a Thousand Corpses doesn't stand up to the movie that I know he tried to make, and most of it found the cutting room floor for ratings. Because like I know for a fact that like there's some glaring holes in House of a Thousand Corpses that wouldn't be there if he didn't have to like drop so much of the movie to get it under the X rating.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to have seen what he really envisioned coming out.
Is there a director's cut of that somewhere?
I've never been able to find like a legit director's cut or whatever. Because, like I said, yeah, he had to try and squeak it to get it under. Like, I can't even. Like, I think he had to send it back a couple times to get it under the ratings commission. And I think
It's crazy that we even have ratings.
Yeah, it is. Let's listen to us libertarians arguing about fucking telling me what kind of movie I can see or not.
Yeah, there's that.
I mean, ratings would exist even without that, because at the end of the day, like, you kind of want to let parents know what the kids are getting into.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I mean,
more
once
of a
you're
signaling
you're
device.
already into like the adult category, we really have to parse like.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
absolutely.
This is a R. This is X. This is triple X. It's like, listen, if you're an adult, you should be able to handle it.
Yeah, I figure you should.
I could understand making a distinction between like kids movies and not.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't care about that distinction, but that's because I'm a garbage person. I really don't care what my kid watches.
There's a lot of different places, different people would draw those lines as well. So
And I do not believe in lines. Like, all a line is for something me to dive over. Oh, I'm not allowed to do this in polite society? Well, fuck your polite society. I'm jumping over that shit. That's always one of my favorite things. Like, I think that was like the big key for me coming to libertarianism. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I can think the same things as this guy called Tom Woods, who's like super conservative and totally
isn't it crazy?
and totally not into drugged out orgies. Like, yeah, that's the kind of people I want to hang out with. These ultra conservatives.
So, like, when I was younger and got into libertarianism, we weren't really at war with anybody then. I mean, I guess there were some bombing things going on, but I was oblivious to those.
Well,
So
most America was oblivious to them, apparently.
like, the issues that attracted me were like, I think drugs should be legal. Like, why is there a drinking age? That's stupid. I can't drink. Like, prostitution should be legal. What the hell?
Honestly, probably one of the bigger issues our culture has is because prostitution is not legal.
Oh, yeah.
There are no incels in a world where prostitution's legal. I'm gonna tell you that right the fuck now.
This is true.
Not nutting makes you crazy. Okay?
If it was legal, I wonder what kind of music they'd play at most brothels.
So anytime
I bet Thrill Kill Cult, I bet you would be like, what's that album? There's the filthiest show in town. That would be perfect. Brothel music.
See, like, I like that because for me, like, anytime I start a new band, like, my favorite, like, if it's the way you can tell it's the music that I'm really into is if you can imagine a vampire orgy happening while it's playing.
Yeah, I think I like the same kind of stuff.
That's my big key. Like,
I like my music to have like sex, drugs, and Satanism for some reason.
There you go.
I'm not a Satanist or anything.
yeah, but that's part of rock and roll.
Yep.
Like, if I'm not like summoning, what's his name, back from the dead? The who was that guy that Zeppelin used to hang out with? Oh, this is gonna bug the piss out of me.
Is it an occultist or something?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Alistair. That's what it was.
Okay. Interesting.
And by the way, it's like, have you ever done any research on Crowley?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of his books actually.
That dude's an interesting man. Like, so much of that shit was just all like weird gay sex.
I wonder what he listened to.
Let's see, because I mean, his heyday would have been like wouldn't have been like the 40s and 50s, but he would have been like a young guy.
Look this up.
Because I mean, he was an old dude. I thought when Zeppelin was around.
He was born in 1875.
Oh,
yeah.
holy crap! Yeah.
47. What was popular in like the late 40s? I wonder. I don't know.
Hot jazz?
Probably.
I like hot jazz. I bet that he's the inspiration for that Squirrel Nut Zipper song, Hell. Like,
I haven't heard that.
What's that?
I haven't heard that.
You absolutely have heard that.
It was everywhere for a minute.
I can tell you that as someone who was a teenager at any point in the 90s, you've absolutely heard the song.
I know, like, I can't even think of what I have heard by them. The name is familiar.
You've heard this song. I'm telling you right now. I'll send it to
He's
you.
like, I'm telling you, it's the song.
I'll send it to you after the interview, and you'll be like, oh, of course. In fact, if you were to look it up on YouTube right now, I guarantee just looking at the screenshot of the video, you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Because it would have been on, it was, the band actually came up to...
Oh, yeah, I know this song.
Exactly.
It was everywhere. You couldn't get away
Well,
from it.
and it was weird because there was like that whole Chapel Hill, North Carolina thing that was going on at that point in time because they were contemporaries with Ben Folds and stuff.
Ah, okay.
Ooh, Ben Folds is good.
I do
Ben
love
Folds
me
is
some
good.
Ben Folds.
I think they were all from Chapel Hill, North Carolina back in the day.
Okay.
And who else is from there? That one like punkish band I like. They had those songs on the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie.
Oh God.
The one that Meatwad sings.
I was into punk for a while.
I mean,
fun.
And ska.
the ska's way more important.
I do love me some ska. I still love ska.
Less Than Jake was one of my favorite bands for a while.
I went and saw Real Big Fish a couple years ago, and that's when I realized how fucking old I am.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing about Real Big Fish? How old do you think their audience is?
My age, 40.
Fuck that. Their audience is still 15 years old somehow.
Really?
Yeah, I went. I slammed in the pit for the half a song that I could do before I thought I was gonna have a heart attack, and then I go like find a wall in the back to like kind of just watch the show because I'm apparently too fucking old to enjoy real big Fish concerts. And I start talking to the nice lady next to me, and I'm like, I guess it's just the age, making some comment about how I'm fucking old, and she's just like very politely, I'm here with my son.
I wonder how they even hear about it. Oh, I guess the internet.
But that was it was amazing. It was like I listened to them when I was fucking 14 and 15 years old.
I found out of bands from like watching Beavis and Butthead or Headbangers Ball. So.
Well, yeah, they don't have Headbangers Ball anymore. Well, I mean, I guess you could probably find it somewhere.
Yeah,
but
I'm not entirely sure how I used to find bands out. I mean, I know probably like the Columbia Records. Things,
oh, when they all the flipping discs.
Scam.
Was it though?
I mean, it wasn't really a scam if you just never paid them.
Yeah,
I would never.
Eventually, they just went away.
You had to like mail in this thing every month saying you didn't want the monthly pick, and I
Yeah.
always forgot to do it, and so I'd always get it sent to me and get stuck with some shitty CD I didn't want.
I did that a couple times, but we moved a lot, and I never paid them, so
Yeah.
it worked out okay for me.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
There's another one just like that too, BMG or something.
Yeah, BMG.
Well, I mean, it was just. I mean, those are all the labels at the time, and they just had their own mail order thing. This is what we're releasing.
Yeah, back when CDs, like people actually listened to CDs.
I feel like when we got away from CDs, that albums are more like just a couple hits and then bullshit, whereas.
Well, that depends how you're listening to music. Because if you listen to your music on Bandcamp, people still crank out fucking awesome CDs.
Yeah.
Outside of that, nobody gives a fuck about CDs, though. It's all about singles.
Well, they can't get any money out of it.
Yeah.
Because I even felt like when they switched from like cassettes to CDs, when you could skip songs,
Yeah.
the, like quality of things went down.
I mean, it
before you
changed.
had to.
Well, there was like actual numbers that were always like the hits on the CD. Like I think tracks numbers 7 and 12 and 13 were always like really solid songs.
Interesting.
When CDs first came out, I wasn't gonna switch. I didn't realize how beneficial it'd be to be able to skip to songs. I'm like, this doesn't sound that much better. I'm not gonna pay more money for this.
What was your
sticking with
what was your first
That's
CD?
awesome.
My first CD was Aerosmith, Get a Grip.
Nice.
Good CD. I think we've covered it before. My first two were I got two at the same day, and there were three because I got Nirvana's Nevermind. I
had that on tape, I think.
I never really had tapes growing up. I got Nirvana's Nevermind, and Out Come the Wolves by Rancid, and Tragic Kingdom.
There you go. Yeah.
I would like ride my skateboard down to the record store, get some cassette tapes. I remember specifically like doing that because it was kind of far away. I wasn't allowed to ride my skateboard that far as a kid.
And by far away, do you mean the 20
like
miles that I had to drive?
No. Just like busy roads and stuff. My mom going, but I remember I'm like Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 from Guns N' Roses had just come out. I'm like, I gotta go get it today. I have to.
Aw.
Yeah, no, that kind of shit for me meant like, I gotta get somebody's mom to drive us to the next town over to get anything, because they had a Walmart at least. And they also had an On Cue. That's what it was before that.
On Cue.
Yeah, that's the same place I bought all my D&D books back in the day.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It was like the music books and movies store.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Definitely would have been Barnes & Noble for me. Or the Christian bookstore.
Barnes & Noble wasn't like a name brand thing at that point, I think.
Okay.
At least not where I was. So, all right.
So if you played D&D, did you ever read any of the Dragonlance books?
I never really got into the fiction. My dad's actually read a bunch of them. Like, coincidentally, my dad's not a big D&D guy, but he's read most of the books put out by I know he's read a bunch of the Drist books for the Forgotten Realms stories, and I know he's read a bunch of the Dragonlance.
I like the Ravencroft ones too.
No, and those if I were going to read one, those probably would have been the ones that I read because vampires were fucking sweet back then. We didn't have Twilight ruining vampires for us.
Sparkly.
not to get too far off topic, but we have talked about vampires a few times. Did I see that? I think FX is putting out a What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
No way.
I didn't.
Have you ever seen
Really?
What We Do in the Shadows?
No. What is that?
Okay, it's a mockumentary made in New Zealand, and it's basically they're following around a bunch of vampires living in modern times, dealing with like modern things like, hey, we want to get into this club, but you know we can't go in unless you invite us in, kind of things. Like, and it's Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords is like one of the main characters.
Nice.
So they're playing like these 300 or 400 year old dudes, 300 or 400-year-old vampires trying to like get along in modern day New Zealand, and it's fucking hilarious.
You didn't happen to read those like Poppy Z Bright vampire books ever, did you?
That sounds familiar.
It is.
There's like real young reader stuff.
No, I mean like, the vampires in this like listen to like Bauhaus and stuff. And, like,
Oh.
No, I'll have to look. I'm actually way more interested in it.
Drinking absinthe and
So they're
girlfriend
hipster
calls.
vampires,
Like,
is what you're telling me.
These are so good.
I'll have to look that up. I'm always looking for new shit to, because when I'm not listening to podcasts, I am trying to like power down books as much as I can. And I have had a drought of fiction. Right now I'm doing a great courses with John McWhorter on the story of language.
Nice.
If you don't listen to John McWhorter out there, you're garbage people. So I got turned on to him through Camille Foster. He's had him on a couple events in the Fifth Column and stuff.
Man, I've had so many podcasts on my list.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like stopping listening to them, just starting listening to music again more. I don't know.
Like if I wasn't like friendly with all the people who do podcasts, and I feel like obligated to listen to their podcasts,
That's true.
there are some that I don't listen to all the time.
Do you listen to any non political podcasts?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what do you listen to that's non-political?
Let me see. Let me open up my app here and see what shows I've got on here.
This is always interesting.
Block Zero, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Oh, nice.
Family Hour. The Heart Wisdom Podcast with Jack Cornfield.
The fuck is that?
It's like a Buddhist thing.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
History on Fire.
I remember when I was Buddhist.
Mind Rolling Podcast with Raghu Marcus.
He's making these up. There's no way people have these fucking names.
They do.
Ragu? I just ate some ragu.
A Cult of Personality.
Nice.
The Drunken Taoist. Fireside Chats. Joe Rogan.
Of
You
course.
still listen to Rogan?
It's so funny. Everybody has so many different podcasts they listen to. Oh yeah, and Joe Rogan.
No, I quit.
Jeremy's podcast.
I quit Rogan, man. Couldn't do it.
I skip most episodes nowadays. I wait till it's like a guest that I really want.
I used to skip most, and then even when it was somebody I liked, like he would just piss me off to no end with something he'd say in the episode, because like he's like so close sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, you fucking lefty piece of shit, and I just want to stab him in his fucking head.
People are dumb.
Oh no, people are dumb.
He had Tulsi Gabbard on, and she wasn't bad at all for a Democrat.
I mean, as far as Tulsi Gabbard goes, I mean, she's better than most.
Yeah, I'm just saying for a Democrat. Like, I'm definitely not saying.
I mean,
For
a mentally handicapped person, she's like lower on the scale of Downsy than most of them.
Jeez.
If you're against war, I'll work with you.
Well, exactly, but I kind of need you to be against schools too, because schools are how war happens. That's how you keep people voting for it. You got to end the schools, or you got to end the Fed to make war end.
Are we at into voting? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the voting's not going anywhere. But if you end the schools, you can end the indoctrination. And if you end the Fed, they just can't afford to do it. So, more power to them. And I don't think she's willing to end either of those things. What do you think, Liz?
I don't know.
No.
I think it's time for our last question.
Is it time for the big one?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're killing this guy's Sunday, so.
Yeah.
All right. If you had 5 albums, and that's all you got to tell people to listen to, They don't have to be your favorite, but 5 you think everyone should hear. What would they be and why? Some people like to cheat and make Spotify playlists. Like, go listen to this playlist and maybe just this artist. Pick something by this artist. We've gotten pretty willy-nilly on this.
I would say that if I was just going to bring 5 albums to a desert island, that means there's something about those I really love. And that would probably be albums I would tell people to check out, which would... Damn it, I can't even narrow it down to 5, though.
There's always room if you have some bonus content there.
So that's not going to be the criteria I'm using. Okay. I'm going to tell people Faith No More, Real Thing.
Okay.
Nice.
Because it's just awesome. Michael Patton's awesome, and it's a good example.
You mean the zombie from Omega Man?
Wait, what?
What's the name of the movie that he was in?
Was it?
I Am Legend.
Oh, I Am Legend. Mike Patton can do whatever the heck he wants.
Mike Patton does do whatever he wants. Yeah, if you didn't know this, so if you've seen the movie I Am Legend, all of the zombies in that movie, the noises that they make are all Mike Patton.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they just put him in a studio and made him start making noises and then adding effects. And that's what you end up with.
I think my next album would be...
He's gonna go way out in left field and pick Mr. Bungle.
No. I think it would be Ritual Deal Habitual with Jane's Addiction.
It's a good album.
Yeah. 3 Days is such like an epic song. And just so, if someone's missing some Dave Navarro in their life, I think this is a good place to get it.
I always am surprised by like how old they are. Like, I always think of them as being like a 90s band when they're kind of not. Because like they were like contemporaries with like the grunge scene and like almost like the hair metal. Because like they were like what, 88 through like 93 or something like that.
Their first album was just called Jane's Addiction. Came out in 89, I think.
Yeah.
Ritual Habitual came out in like 91.
And I always just kind of think of them as being like a 94, 95, 96 kind of band. And
like nothing shocking was early 90s too.
Yeah. So not to get aside, that one, it always fascinates me though.
Yeah. Okay, so we got those two. Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Is there anyone that hasn't heard that record?
I bet there is, and it's unfortunate.
I mean, if you're not a 90s kid,
Look,
maybe.
Stadium Arcadium is what the Red Hot Chili Peppers do. Howie just cried.
Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar. And my 5th slot will be...
Yep. I'm here for the slot.
I guess White
Like
Zombie.
nice and loose.
Devil of Music Volume 1.
What was that?
White Zombie, Les Exorcisto.
Okay.
Devil of Music Volume 1. I just really picked some of my favorite CDs.
Hey, you can do it however you want.
Yeah, I actually really don't care what anyone listens to. So
My literally, I can do this every day, and it'll be a different 5 because it depends entirely on how I feel that day.
Yep.
The only thing that doesn't change is the best album ever written, and that's the Blue Album by Weezer.
That is a good album.
And really, it's there just because Only in Dreams is the greatest song ever penned.
What was the Weezer album after that?
Pinkerton, I personally actually like more as an album, but I realize that that's an unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're both good. I actually in high school we had this made up cult.
What's with you and cults, Howie?
I don't know, but you know the song "My Name Is Jonas."
I do.
Like, so when you joined like this cult, you then became like Jonas, whatever your name was.
That's silly.
Hilarious.
It's just like
That's funny.
a joke thing, but fun.
It's ridiculous. All right, boss. We have taken up quite enough of your Sunday, but it's been an awesome conversation having you on here.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
So, anytime you want to shoot the shit about music and bitch about stuff that's pseudo-libertarian, you give us a call.
Hell too.
Take it easy, boss.
Later.
Just watch the flames go Your blood boils, your strength retreats.